Welcome back to Dry Hollow Homestead. It's Danielle. Come along with me as we do a few things here on our homestead. We are a family of 8 living in Virginia, the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia, and it is the beginning of the canning season. It is almost the end of summer, but that means that we get really busy with the garden, and I am putting as much stuff in that pantry as I can. So this was actually ham broth from some hams that we had, and pieces of meat from that ham I put in the bottom of that, and I canned that up. And my thought with that is that we can make quick gravies to go over things like potatoes that we also can if I want to be really fast, or meat that we've done and want to put something on top of. Having things like this in the pantry keeps us from spending as much money out, which we don't do very often just because of the size of family that we are. Even something like a quick trip to a fast food restaurant can cost us a lot of money, and it's not good for you. It doesn't taste that good, and we're still hungry afterwards. It's insane. So another thing that we're getting canned up is carrots. These carrots were actually in my fridge from Costco. They're not homegrown, and I needed to get them out of my fridge. So I'm canning up these carrots. The thought with carrots is that I can add them to my soups and things during the winter, of course. I don't can whole soups or stews because we are such a large family. I need to get about 5 quarts of soup when I'm making something. So having a pint of this, a quart of that, and combining it with the corn, carrots, green beans, meat that we've got canned, and some broth and beans, things like that, can add up to a really good soup. And it's a lot less time consuming, in my opinion, to make something like the canned carrots, instead of trying to make a big pot of soup and then can it, which really a big pot of soup is just what we eat anyway. It's not going to be extra. We love to have leftovers for the next day because we're a homeschooling family also. So we are here the next day after we eat this for supper or whatever, soup for supper. I like to have at least a lunch out of it too, so that I am saving myself a little bit of time, because being in the kitchen and making a lot of food from scratch is an overwhelming job at times. So when I can find little ways to make that easier, we do it. And pressure canning has really opened up lots of new things that I can can. I've been doing that for probably about 4 years now, and I love it. So you have to pressure can anything that's a low acid food, like carrots or broth or green beans. I think those were the most prevalent in my mind when I first got my pressure canner, and I'm completely comfortable with it now. It was a little intimidating when I first got it. I got an all-American canner. You don't have to spend quite that much. You can get a Presto. I just liked the idea that I don't have to replace the rubber gasket, because it doesn't have a rubber gasket. It is metal on metal, but that's besides the point. So when I got it, I got it mostly for the green beans, because the green beans were just coming out of the garden in bushels, and I wanted to get them on my pantry shelf. But I have used it for meat also. That is opened a lot of new ideas up, because we don't like ground beef canned or ground food canned, any kind of ground meat, I'm sorry. But if it's cubed up, cubed deer meat, cubed pork, cubed stew meat from beef or chicken, I've even started canning up all of the turkey that my husband's work gives him every year for Thanksgiving. We don't make the turkey for our Thanksgiving meal, so we get this huge turkey. It goes in our freezer, and we don't care for it. We've actually given it away. Many Thanksgivings we have just given our turkey to someone else, because turkey's not our favorite. But instead, this past year, actually, I had a turkey all year in my freezer, and I went ahead and canned it. And we use that, I canned it into pint jars, which is a pound. And we use that like a chicken salad, like you would canned chicken. It's just canned turkey, which it doesn't taste that different when you add mayonnaise and homemade relish and salt and pepper. It's delicious. That has come in clutch lately too. Sorry, I'm rambling on and I've missed a bunch in my video. I am a huge proponent for gut health. I think it's extremely important that we take care of the microbiome that is growing in our stomachs, whether we want to think about that or not. It's happening. And fermented food is a great way to give good bacteria to your stomach and get them to grow in your stomach. And one of the ways I do that in the summer is when I have fresh pickles or fresh cucumbers, we make them into pickles. So that was just saltwater brine, some cucumbers, I keep saying that, and a few cloves of garlic. Now this is a new recipe to me. This is Beet Kvass, which is another way of fermenting. This is the first time I've made this, so I'm not 100% sure what I'm going to use it for. So tell me in the comments if you're someone who grew up with Beet Kvass, what you use the liquid for. So these are from our garden. You just kind of trim them up and peel them. They are not cooked. Yeah, they're not cooked. Sorry. I was like, hold on, did I cook them? No, I didn't cook them. They're not cooked. So we peel them up and we're going to dice them into just probably 1 inch, maybe, cubes. And we're going to put it with some salt water also. So it's a fermentation thing, lacto fermentation. And then we're going to let that sit for several days on the counter. So the liquid is what you use from the Beet Kvass. Most people say they use it in a salad dressing. I am actually just looking through my Nourishing Traditions cookbook for this recipe. So that is as far as my knowledge goes, but I'm sure there are so many other people that have used this. It's usually Ukrainian, I feel like, and don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure that most Ukrainians usually have this, maybe Russian too, in their kitchen, their mothers. So I'm not a huge authority on what to do with this, but I want to try as many different ways that we can adding fermented food into our diet. So we're giving this a try. I got a new book on fermentation, so I'm actually really inspired to try even more things. So I will probably be adding some of that to my videos here in the next few weeks, because it is just so important to have good bacteria in our gut. And one of the ways that they have been dissipated is by taking antibiotics, which who in the US has never taken antibiotics? And some of the things that we kill off with the antibiotics, we can't get back in our daily diet, because we live in America where we're very squeamish about things that might be different than what we're used to, so we don't eat some of the varieties that we actually should. I am going to give this ferment a little jump start with some leftover whey from yogurt making. I have mentioned this before that I do that, but that just introduces a good culture to start with. And I'm not a big measurer, so it's just a splash or two. That's all I can tell you. But there's always the book, The Nourishing Traditions, that you can get lots of the practical traditional way of eating food, the recipes in. One other thing, you really need clean water. without fluoride, or what is the other thing they add? Chlorine or yeah, something. I mean, we have well water, but I ensure that this is really good clean water with no other competing bacteria in it, because I filter it through our Boro water filter system, and I will link that in the description box. Everyone should have the right to filter their water through and get out what they don't want.